Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Peter Jennings, and I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry. Back again doing another model preview. I have two coming out this week. The first one for the John Deere Classic. Interesting tournament, obviously, with a lot of the good golfers out in the Olympics. In addition, a lot of the top names are just taking this week off. So a little trickier week in that we don't have as many of the go-to guys out there, but certainly still a lot of opportunity, and this is where the models and the data can really help out. So made a model. Let's take a look here at my sliders. I have long-term adjusted round at 28. So I did take that into account. Originally, I was going to weight it even a little bit more, but 28 still a little heavier than I normally am. I'm normally like 24, 25. I weighted long-term driving accuracy as 8 points. Long-term birdie scored 12 points, so I'm really chasing birdies here, and that's something that's going to be common this week just in general. I'm really trying to incorporate that more into my DraftKings strategy, especially in the Olympics, which I'll be doing another model preview for here too. The Olympics, because it's a no-cut event, but in general, in every model I'm making now, I'm weighting birdies, and I'm very cognizant of which guys are making more birdies than other guys. Scrolling down a little bit further, I have recent green regulation score at 33. Again, that's a huge part of my model every week. That's how I capture the guys I think are in good current form. Recent driving accuracy I have at 6. Scrolling a little farther down, I have course adjusted round score at 13, and that rounds out the rest of the model. So back test reasonably well. A lot of times we can get over 4 points. Sometimes it's in the 3.5 to 4 point range. This is certainly a fine model in that regard. And I don't mind the results it's spitting out. So let's take a look here at some of the guys. Number one rated guy is Jerry Kelly, who's coming off a great performance, obviously. At the Travelers, had a great chance to get into a playoff, but Russell Knox made a great putt on 18 to get the win. It's kind of weird with Kelly. He used to be known as the guy you could just count on to just crush and be consistent, but he had that stretch of missed cuts that were just really bad before finding his form again. And the one thing, too, about Jerry Kelly is he definitely normally does well in weaker fields, which obviously this is. So I like Jerry Kelly, and it's interesting that he's rated as the top golfer overall. Kevin Na, another guy I really like. Wesley Bryan's really popping, and the podcast talked about how he was one of the top guys. He's done extremely well on the Web.com tour. So adjusted round does pick up for that to a degree, but when someone's just living and playing these weaker tournaments all the time, the models might get a bit skewed by that. So just something to be cognizant of here. He really doesn't have a ton of great spots here. You can see he only had a DraftKings salary twice out of all these tournaments. So something to consider with Wesley Bryan, but he is popping quite a bit for me in my models. Steve Stricker, can't go wrong with him. Both he and Zach Johnson are playing really well right now. They're two of the big favorites in this tournament. They have one of the strongest field scores, and their course form is both phenomenal here, especially Zach Johnson, 13K. I hate paying $13,000 for Zach Johnson, but certainly don't hate it given the elite course history he has, and he definitely is the class of this field. Boo Weekley at 7K, like him quite a bit. Again, not the highest quality golfers in this field, so you have to kind of look at different guys that you normally wouldn't consider at their specific price for this tournament, but 7K is really cheap for Boo Weekley, who is a guy who's playing a lot of PGA Tour events, and he's in DraftKings quite a bit, capable of some big finishes, but also has missed some cuts as well. Sendin, Hubbard, I don't mind them. Norlander, I talked a little bit about in the pod. And then my nemesis, Keegan Bradley. He's just been so bad to me. I played him when he missed the cut, and I've talked about him ad nauseum at the podcast and just in general, but I actually hate to say it, but I think he's a great play this week at 7,800. He's playing well, and at that price, his skill level relative to everyone else, he's a much better golfer than most of this field, and he's priced in the middle of the pack. So I'm going to be taking Keegan Bradley in some spots, and he made the cut last week by a stroke, and didn't have a terrible weekend by any stretch. So a couple 67s, which was nice, and a guy that I'm definitely going to be targeting. He's been playing well. Ryan Moore is a player I really like. Hudson Swafford's probably my favorite mid-tier play outside of Keegan, and I like them about the same. I think they'll both find their way into my lineup. I like Von Taylor quite a bit. John Rahm is my boy. You look at here, he's just been continuing to do well. So I'm going to continue to ride John Rahm. I think he's a talented rookie. Obviously, Colin, our PGA director, has a little different take on playing rookies, but I think Rahm's an exception. Patrick Rogers is a great GPP play. If you take a look at him here, finished third last week, and one thing you'll notice with him is he has a lot of birdie upside, and he has huge driving distance, which isn't really what this course is about. It's more about driving accuracy, but Rogers definitely a good tournament play because he's capable of making a lot of birdies. And then one final guy I'll point out here is Robert Streb. That's Colin's favorite play in the 9K range. Was a great golfer, then really struggled, and now he's finding his way again. Could have finished a lot better at the PGA Championship. Started off super hot, but he's a guy who might be finding it. He's struggled a lot this year, but he was Colin's top-rated golfer in the upper tier range. So hope this model helps you guys. As always, I encourage you to make multiple models and see what pops. But I hope this helps you for the John Deere Classic, and definitely check out my other model preview for the Olympics as well. There's some big contests on DraftKings for that. Good luck as always. Hope to see more FantasyLabs subscribers at the top of the leaderboard.